Okay, good. So what I want you to do, approach your front sitting partner. Don't attack them. Go gently on them and touch the first rib and try to mobilize the first rib. Go gently on wherever you think that is. The other person is sitting. There's no bed lying down. We also do it in sitting.
Right, access it
Where you think the first rib is and how you think you do it. The patient is allowed to scream and to curse but not hit the other guy. Okay? And yeah, keep on doing it. I want to see whether I see you. I cannot see because just do it over the. Okay, got it. Okay, keep on doing. I'm just trying to find somebody who is correct. I haven't seen any correct placement yet. No placement yet. Prakash, you need to come up with a chair. Here's a chair. Okay, this is what manual therapy is about. So what is manual therapy about? First is you need to know your surface anatomy. You need to know where things are. Some were poking around here. That's not where the first rib is. The first rib is here. That's the first thing. Where is the stuff? Second thing is, how deep is that stuff? And how can I get there without hitting the plexus or something? You need to know how I get there. Then the next thing in manual is what we see a lot. People don't know about slack. They don't know about slack. What does slack mean? If you want to, like if you do a thoracic spine or a lumbar spine, you want to mobilize something and you don't know. This is it from surgery. In surgery, this is called Columbus surgery. Do you know what Columbus surgery is? You start sailing somewhere and you don't know where you're heading at. And when you're there, you don't know where you were. And when you come back, you didn't even know where you were. So you can do, when you do a manual thing, you need to know where you're heading at. Meaning, what is the direction of your force? And you need to be safe with your hands for yourself and for the patient. If you avoid swimming, you press harder. That's not the way to do. You need to be efficient with what you do. So for getting somewhere, you need to know where you are. In a first rib, you have to prepare the head of it. And you start with your MP joint of the second finger at the spinous process of C7. And the direction is this way. So you go this way you can mobilize and you can feel. So it's about the details, really about the details. I'm just doing something. The last thing on that topic is the amplitude. How do you mobilize something? Very often it is, if you're lucky, not Columbus, if you're lucky you get there, you are there, and then you think you want to mobilize, so you have a good grip, then you go out, which is not the right thing to do. You stay there and you just do a little bit. So these are all the little practical things. You're healed now. You will get better in the next 3 days, for sure. So, Next thing. Okay, thank you. Who knows what an SLR is? Straight leg raise test. You were unlucky you raised your hand first. So does anybody know what an SLR test is? Okay, either you don't know, which is a very poor thing for an ortho institute, if nobody knows what an SLR test is, or you're scared of me. You're exempted, Susan. So who knows what an SLR test is? Come on, guys. Okay, what is it? Right, we raise the leg in an extended position. And he says if the pain radiates in the back, that's a positive SLR, you see. Who agrees to that? Who disagrees to that? I want to tell you one thing, guys. It is, you can nicely talk about quality and all that stuff if you don't prove yourself. If you're afraid to prove yourself, then stay here. Then you don't even need to go to an institute. You can you learn for 3 hours, for 2 hours, how an IFT machine is. You can chat with a patient, do an IFT machine, and just do that. You need to engage. If you don't engage, how would you learn? So, he said, raising the leg and pain in the back, positive SLR. That's what you said, basically. Who agrees to that? Who disagrees to that? Why do you disagree?
So there are some degrees at which we go for, like when we go for an SLR test.
Right.
So there are some degrees like 0 to 15 degree. If it is something, then it is then that depicts something else.
Then sorry, that I didn't.
So when we go for an SLR,
what is about 0 to 30? What is that?
It is exactly I'm not remembering, but it's a sign to something else, not only radiating pain or hamstring tightness or something like that.
Right. What is that something?
Sciatic nerve involvement, I think.
Correct. SLR is a test for sciatic nerve involvement. What do you comment on what he said? He said back pain. It's not a back pain test. It has nothing to do with back pain. It's a sciatica test. Now, you said hamstrings and so on. When the hamstrings get short, it also hurts. What's the difference between an SLR and a hamstring tension? And a hamstring test? Or what's the difference between a positive SLR and short hamstrings?
When we feel the tightness, at what angle we are feeling the tightness, or at what angle the pain is elicited,
yeah, that is very often taught, but it's actually not helpful. It's not the right. It's not the right answer. You can have hamstring. Some say the cutoff is 60 degrees or something. Below 60, it's SLR. Above 60, it's hamstrings and so. You can have hamstrings at 30, 40 degrees with tight people, and you can have a positive SLR at 70 or so. So that the angle itself is not really an issue. Any other suggestion? What kind of a test is an SLR for the sciatic nerve? What kind of a test is it?
Provocative.
Sorry?
Provocative test.
Yes, yes, most of the tests are provocative. I'm coming to that in a moment again. Is it a compression test or a tension test?
Tension test.
Sorry?
It's a tension
Tension test, very good. So hamstring is also a tension test. What's the difference? So how do you differentiate? Okay, I'll tell you. Should I tell you? So hamstring, so one part of manual is also end feel. You need to feel the end of things. So the most important distinction is SLR test is like a light switch. Like a light switch. Off or on. You have no pain, no pain, no pain, and at some level, pain. 5 degrees later, there's pain. Light switch. Hamstring is, it stretches a bit more. No, it stretches really, it really stretches. So you have a 20-30 degree range. That's the end feel. Manual. Another thing is, if you are at that edge, if you just go into the light switch thing and you externally rotate the leg, then, and it gets better, also nerve tensions. And the third thing is, if it is side different between left and right. And fourth, if it elicits the exact radiating pain distribution that you had before. So that's the difference between an SLR and I'll skip the exercise therapy for a moment. Let's do this a little bit. You need to give your patients the right information. Does that work now? Okay, good. What we see, I'm giving you a few hints now for interviews with us, if you want to interview with us. So, very often I start with something, I let people describe a posture or a gait or something like that. And my first intro to that is I say, describe what you see. Just describe to me what you see. Then I do something, and then the first answer I get is, could be a disc prolapse. And I say, I didn't ask you for a diagnosis, I asked for what you see. So you need to listen to me as you need to listen to a patient. So if somebody is in an interview with me, he wants to have a job. He wants to do the right thing with me, and if he doesn't even listen to me, how would he listen to the patient? So you need to listen to patients. And also, what information you give to the patient is important. Let's do one simple example on information. A normal, whoever is normal, we are all are idiots in our own way. Everybody's different, I know. A normal middle-aged Indian man comes to you, has his MRI report, has back pain, has an MRI report, and has 2 protrusions at L4-5 and L5S1 or so, one a bit larger, one a bit smaller. And he asks you, how should I lift something if I want to pick up something? Should I completely avoid it, or how should I do that? So how should he lift? How should he pick how should he do about this?
First of all, bending the knee and then lift the things up.
Okay.
Not forward bending.
Okay, no forward bending. Okay. Do you want to say this? Okay. I give you 3 options. Knee lifting technique, back lifting technique, and what I learned here, a very common Indian answer is, it depends. So, who is for knee lifting technique? Okay. Okay, who is for Back. Nobody? Who is for it depends? You know what's coming. If you raise your hand, I'll ask you, what does it depend on? Okay, let's stay with the majority for a moment. I said a typical Indian man. I have my discipline. How strong are you in that advice? You should not bend forward. Do you say, oh, do it, or try it? Maybe it's easier for you to do it this way. Or do you say, really avoid that? How strong are you on it? Sorry? As much as you can avoid. Okay. Okay. Who of you has heard of a double lower cross syndrome? No? Okay. Okay. That man. Okay, I tell you a story, and here are stories. I took 1 year off from the surgical part and so, and did 1 year in biomechanics in spine science. We examined lifting and lifting techniques. We even swallowed the poor volunteers that were our young doctors. They had to be volunteers. We stuck probes in their erector spinae to measure the intramuscular pressure, made them swallow tubes to measure the abdominal pressure and so on. And we looked at lifting. And we did that in an institute where there was where they did a lot of car testing. So they had a compression machine which went up to 5 tons of compression. And we wanted to know whether abdominal pressure strengthened the spine for lifting or so. Because whenever we lift, we don't engage your extensors first, we engage your abdominal first. So we did a spine test. And we used ram bones, which is equivalent to human bones in geometry. So we pressed that bone and wanted to see whether it makes a difference with the intra-abdominal pressure. So what was the outcome of that? When did the spine collapse? What weight? I'll make it short. We have not that much time. We don't know. The machine was at its end at 5 tons. So all this bending forward and the disc coming out is pure. A lot of female audience, I'll just say BS. It's a lot of BS. It's just not true. It's not justifying anything. And furthermore, in an Indian context, with the patient that I showed you, it's actually bad for the patient. So, that man is coming. Back pain, my back is in spasm. What do you do? IFD ultrasound. Yes. But he wants to get up long term. What do you do? What do you do? How do you get him out?
We can go for manual therapy or something.
Like what?
We can go for mild stretching of erector spinae or...
Yes, mild stretching. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good point.
So that will release the spasm over the...
Correct. Very good. That's correct. This is now a typical physio thing. While you're in my hands, in my magical hands, you are very good. But if you're out in the bad world, everything is dangerous. So with that thought, what is the difference between you mobilizing the patient into flexion? Because when you examine these people, when you make them bend forward, they still have a concavity. They don't go into a lumbar flexion position, which you want them to. You say this is therapeutic. At the same time, for daily life, you disallow him to stretch himself. Remember the 5 tons, nothing happens to the spine. Nothing can happen to the spine. You do the manual, but you're not allowing him to do the manual himself. He should bend forward. Back bending is the better thing for him. And he gets out of self-stretch. So implicitly, a lot of things we are doing just wrong. So, and then you can start training him. So you encourage it, and you're teaching him the right things. All right. There was just a few highlights. I just want to get you. My goal here was, or is, for those of you who want to get into a different kind of water, which is actually very fascinating and nice and good. There's another world out there to work and to train. What Dr. Banana said, what Banana says, use your hands. Yeah, I'm finished. Okay, use your hands, use your mind, and train. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shar, for sharing your expertise, clarity, and evidence-based approach, which added tremendous value to our understanding on spinal evaluation. Now, I would like to call Dr. Prithvi to extend a tremendous value and summarize the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. The session was really informative and truly dynamic and practical. And the way you explained the spinal assessment was very nice, and I think the whole audience enjoyed it at all. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. C.S. Ram, sir, along with Prithvi ma'am, to felicitate Dr. Miller. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Moving forward, we have with us a distinguished name in the field of sports physiotherapy, Dr. Prakash Shah.
Dr. Jha is currently the Training and Development Head of Physiotherapy at Active Health, where he is shaping the future of physiotherapy by mentoring, training, and elevating clinical standards across the board.
Mr. Jha has served at several prestigious institutions, including the Indian Spinal Injury Center, Safdarjung Hospital, and Austrian Physiotherapy Clinic, where he provided conservative management of complex musculoskeletal and sports injuries.
With a professional journey spanning over a decade, he brings with him unmatched expertise in sports injury management, biomechanics, manual therapy, rehabilitation. Adding to his impressive portfolio, he has been anti-doping specialist with BCCI for nearly 9 years and has served as visiting faculty at renowned institutions like Jamia Millia Islamia, Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, and contributing to the academic and professional growth of budding physiotherapists.
He is here with us to share his expertise on injury prevention and physical examination. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Prakash Shah. The team volunteers stay स्टेज पे 3 वॉलंटियर स्टेज पे जल्दी मैं 10 मिनट में खत्म कर दूंगा
इंजरी प्रिवेंशन के ऊपर बात करेंगे हम. आई विल बी bilingual in my communication. क्यों जरूरी है इंजरी प्रिवेंशन? इतनी सारी चीजें इंजरी प्रिवेंशन के लिए एसएफएम में है, फीफा का वार्म अप प्रोटोकॉल है, आपकी प्री कॉम्पिटिशन स्क्रीनिंग है. तो कुछ सिंपल चीजें जो हमें किसी भी स्पोर्ट्समैन की इंजरी को प्रिवेंट करने के लिए चेक करनी चाहिए. और मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन मैंने ये सोच के बनाई है कि अगर जसप्रीत बुमराह आपके क्लिनिक में आ जाएगा तो आप कैसे उसकी इंजरी प्रिवेंशन के लिए असेसमेंट करोगे. इंजरी प्रिवेंशन क्यों जरूरी है फॉर एन एथलीट? पीक परफॉर्मेंस एट पीक लेवल इज इररिप्लेसेबल. अभी जसप्रीत बुमराह एक टेस्ट मैच से बाहर हो जाता है, हमारा पूरा बॉलिंग स्क्वाड कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाता है. ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट चीज जो हम चेक करेंगे दैट इज लेग लेंथ के ऑल्ट्रेशन से बॉडी में क्या क्या हो रहा है. ठीक है, अब तीनों लोग लाइन से खड़े हो जाओ, फेस टुवर्ड्स द स्क्रीन. नाउ टेक ऑफ वन शू, एक जूता निकाल दो. Now everybody observe different aspects. Somebody can observe the foot, somebody can observe the hip, somebody can observe the shoulder, somebody can observe the arm swing. Now walk for 3 steps forward. Now turn and walk for 3 steps forward again. Can you observe some difference between right side and left side? Now imagine this kind of difference is there at a bowling speed of 140 kilometers. Generally एक फास्ट बॉलर जब रन अप ले रहा होता है तो उसकी बॉलिंग रनिंग स्पीड से बॉलिंग स्पीड में ट्रांजिशन होता है मोमेंटम का. Average running speed of a fast bowler during run up is around 20 kilometers per hour, which goes to 150 kilometers when he is delivering a ball. The ball speed is 150 kilometers. तो ये फोर्स कहाँ से जनरेट हो रही है? ये फोर्स बॉलिंग एक्शन की वजह से जनरेट हो रही है. नाउ इमेजिन विद दिस काइंड ऑफ डिस्क्रिपेंसी बिटवीन राइट एंड लेफ्ट साइड, इस तरह का फोर्स इंबैलेंस हर बॉल में हो रहा है. ठीक है, तो क्या ये चीज इवैल्यूएट करना बहुत मुश्किल है? बिल्कुल नहीं. क्या इस चीज को किसी भी क्लिनिक में बिना किसी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के इवैल्यूएट किया जा सकता है? बड़े आराम से. फंक्शनल लिम्ब लेंथ डिस्क्रिपेंसी एक बहुत सिंपल चीज है जिससे आप कई सारी इंजरीज को प्रिवेंट कर सकते हैं. अब आप तीनों लोग उस डायरेक्शन में फेस करो और टो पे वेट रखो, हील उठा लो, राइट हील को उठा लो और टो पे वेट रखो. अब देखो कि कोई भी इंडिविजुअल इस पोजीशन में है तो हिप फ्लेक्स्ड है, सबको हिप फ्लेक्शन होता हुआ दिख रहा है, नी फ्लेक्शन होता हुआ दिख रहा है और एंकल प्लांटर फ्लेक्शन होता हुआ भी दिख रहा है. तो कोई भी इंडिविजुअल जिसकी लेग लेंथ, फंक्शनल लेग लेंथ बढ़ी हुई है, वो ये सारी चीजें क्रिएट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. एवरी स्टेप दे आर वॉकिंग, एवरी स्टेप दे आर रनिंग. क्या मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है कि इस पोजीशन में अगर हिप है, मान लो किसी को फिक्स्ड फ्लेक्शन डिफॉर्मिटी है या किसी की हैमस्ट्रिंग टाइटनेस की वजह से एक्सटेंशन लैग है या किसी इंजरी की वजह से एक्सटेंशन लैग है, कोई भी इशू है जिसकी वजह से एक्सटेंशन लैग है, नी इसी पोजीशन में होगा. सिवियर काफ टाइटनेस है, एंकल डॉर्सिफ्लेक्शन प्रॉपर्ली नहीं हो पा रहा है, एंकल रिलेटिवली इसी पोजीशन में होगा. हिप फ्लेक्शन कंट्रैक्चर है, कोई हिप फ्लेक्सर का स्पाज्म है, हिप फ्लेक्सर टाइटनेस है, मस्कुलर इंबैलेंस है अराउंड पेल्विस, हिप इसी पोजीशन में होगा. तो ये सारी की सारी चीजें जब आप फिजिकल एग्जामिनेशन कर रहे हो तो बहुत इजी है इवैल्यूएट करना. और कोई आपके पास एक यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल एथलीट आए या कंट्री को रिप्रेजेंट करने वाला एथलीट आए, इसको बहुत आराम से आप इवैल्यूएट कर सकते हो. नाउ वॉक ऑन योर फुट by not allowing the heel to come in contact with the floor. Toes पे walk, right side से toes पे walk करोगे सिर्फ. Face towards the screen and then walk. Now observe how the pelvis is moving. Also observe how the hip area is moving when they are walking. Turn back. एक फास्ट बॉलर के हिप पे 3 times बॉडी वेट आता है when he is bowling. 3 टाइम्स से लेके ये 11 टाइम्स तक वेट इंक्रीज होता है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द स्पीड ऑफ द बॉलर. तो स्ट्रेंथनिंग एक्सरसाइज सिर्फ ब्रिजिंग एक्सरसाइज जैसी सिंपल एक्सरसाइज से ऐसे प्लेयर्स की नहीं हो सकती. दे नीड हाई इंटेंस लोडेड ट्रेनिंग. अब जैसे प्लैंक एक बहुत सिंपल एक्सरसाइज है, बट हम इसको एक असेसमेंट टूल की तरह भी यूज कर सकते हैं. आप तीनों लोग अब प्लैंक पोजीशन में आ जाओ. शूज उतार दो. प्लैंक एक्सरसाइज एक फंक्शनल मूवमेंट स्क्रीनिंग का भी पार्ट है. गोल्फर्स, क्रिकेटर्स, ऑलमोस्ट सभी एथलीट्स प्लैंक को एक एक्सरसाइज के लिए यूज करते हैं कोर स्ट्रेंथनिंग के लिए, बट इट कैन बी आल्सो यूज्ड एज एन असेसमेंट. अब इनको मैं कुछ देर तक इस पोजीशन में रखूंगा, तो आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हो कि पेल्विस कहां ड्रॉप होगा? आगे काफी देर तक, अगर ये 2-3 मिनट तक इस पोजीशन में रहे, नीचे हो जाओ, रिलैक्स. शोल्डर के ऊपर अच्छा खासा लोड आ रहा है इस पोजीशन में, तो स्कैपुलर विंगिंग भी हो सकती है. और जैसे कि हेड पोजीशन आप इन तीनों की देखो तो ये तीनों डिफरेंट है. हो सकता है इनमें से कोई पहली बार प्लैंक कर रहा हो, लेकिन प्लैंक में हेड पोजीशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है. और हेड पोजीशन देखने से आप एक वीक लिंक फाइंड आउट कर रहे हो बॉडी में कि दिस इज द वीक लिंक इन द बॉडी वेयर वे यू नीड टू ट्रेन. रिलैक्स, प्लीज आप बैठ जाओ. बॉलिंग एक्शन सिर्फ हाथ से नहीं हो रहा है, फुट टू लेके हेड सारी की सारी बॉडी इन्वॉल्व है. और कोई भी वीक लिंक अगर आप बॉडी में छोड़ देंगे तो वो इंजरी क्रिएट कर सकता है. इट कैन क्रिएट इंजरी अराउंड द नेक, इट कैन क्रिएट इंजरी अराउंड द बैक, इट कैन क्रिएट इंजरी अराउंड द नी, एनीवेयर. कुछ सिंपल फंक्शनल टेस्ट होते हैं जो कि हमें हर एथलीट के लिए यूज करने चाहिए, जिसमें सबसे सिंपल टेस्ट है ओवरहेड स्क्वाट. प्लीज खड़े हो जाओ आप लोग. दोनों हाथ आपको ऐसे ऊपर रखने हैं. यू हैव टू कीप योर फीट शोल्डर विड्थ अपार्ट, दोनों हाथ ऊपर. अब इन तीनों की हैंड पोजीशन देखो, क्या शोल्डर का 180 डिग्री फ्लेक्शन आ रहा है? क्या राइट साइड और लेफ्ट साइड अलग अलग है? This is showing discrepancy between the leg muscle length of latissimus dorsi. और भी बहुत सारे रीजन हो सकते हैं, लेकिन ये एक सिंपल चीज आप खाली हाथ उठा के भी देख सकते हो. अब इस पोजीशन में ये लोग स्क्वाट करेंगे. ऑब्जर्व देयर हैंड पोजीशन, ऑब्जर्व देयर नी, ऑब्जर्व देयर वेस्ट. प्लीज गो फॉर अ फुल स्क्वाट. देयर हैंड्स मूव्ड फॉरवर्ड. अब दोबारा से स्क्वाट करो और देखो क्या राइट और लेफ्ट साइड में कोई एसिमेट्री दिख रही है? रिलैक्स. अब आप इस फैन की तरफ फेस करो. जब भी आप ओवरहेड स्क्वाट टेस्ट कर रहे हो, मल्टीपल एरियाज को आप ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हो, लेकिन आपको मल्टीपल एंगल से भी इस चीज को ऑब्जर्व करना है. ठीक है, राइट लेटरल, लेफ्ट लेटरल और पोस्टीरियर. इंटीरियर तो आपने कर ही लिया. गो फॉर अ फुल स्क्वाट अगेन. विद डिफरेंट व्यूज यू विल बी एबल टू सी डिफरेंट थिंग्स. अब जब ये स्क्वाट कर रहे हैं तो कुछ लोगों की नी बहुत ज्यादा आगे जा रही है, कुछ लोगों का हिप बहुत ज्यादा ड्रॉप हो रहा है और कुछ लोगों का हिप रोल हो रहा है. तो फास्ट बॉलर्स के लिए एक इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होती है कि उनके एक्शन में जो रियर लेग है वो हिप डोमिनेंट है या नी डोमिनेंट है. मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेयर्स, मोस्ट ऑफ द फास्ट बॉलर्स, दे गेट इंजर्ड व्हेन दे हैव अ रियर नी डोमिनेंट नी फ्लेक्शन बॉलिंग एक्शन. अब हम रेंज ऑफ मोशन एक्सरसाइज भी बहुत सारे लोगों की इवैल्यूएट करते हैं. सबसे सिंपल रेंज ऑफ मोशन जो आपको हर एक फास्ट बॉलर की इवैल्यूएट करनी चाहिए वो है हिप इंटरनल रोटेशन. कैन यू लाई डाउन इन प्रोन? प्रोन थोड़ा सा यार शर्ट गंदी होगी बस, लेकिन बहुत सारे लोगों को सीखने को मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, प्रोन में चले जाओ पूरा. ठीक है, बेंड योर नीज टू 90 डिग्री, both of them. Now keep your knees together and move your feet apart. Keep your knees together and move your feet apart. Rotate your hip please. ऐसे hip open करो. Stretch it to the maximum and just observe. Can you see the difference between right side and left side? आप अपनी पोजीशन चेंज करके ये डिफरेंस देख सकते हो. बहुत ही सिंपल मूवमेंट है हिप रोटेशन चेक करने के लिए. जैसे मैं इनकी बात करूं तो राइट साइड का हिप थोड़ा सा कम रोटेट हो रहा है, इनका लेफ्ट साइड का हिप थोड़ा कम रोटेट हो रहा है, ऑलमोस्ट सिमेट्रिक। अब ये रोटेशन, प्लीज रिलैक्स, ये रोटेशन डेफिसिट मस्कुलर रीजन की वजह से भी हो सकता है और आर्थ्रोकाइनेमेटिक रीजन की वजह से भी हो सकता है। दोनों ही केसेस में अगर ये प्रेजेंटेशन किसी एथलीट की है, ही इज 3 times more for an ACL इंजरी। एक सिंपल हिप रोटेशन असेसमेंट करने से आप किसी की इंजरी प्रिवेंशन का रिस्क बता सकते हो कि कितना मुश्किल है ACL इंजरी में जाना। इस पोजीशन को इंप्रूव करने के लिए किसी का अगर हिप रोटेशन डेफिसिट है, बहुत सिंपल मैनुअल टेक्निक होती है जिसको हम बोलते हैं ऑफ एक्सिस करेक्शन। ग्रेटर ट्रोकेंटर पे एंटीरियरली डायरेक्टेड फोर्स लगा के आप हिप को एक्सटर्नल रोटेट करते हो 5 times। लेस देन 10 seconds इज रिक्वायर्ड टू करेक्ट दिस। जब आप लोग अभी लैब्स में जाओगे अपने प्रैक्टिकल्स में, कल इस टेक्निक को आप करके देखना, ऑफ एक्सिस करेक्शन, इसको आप अपने नोट्स में लिख सकते हो। ये जितनी भी मैंने असेसमेंट आपको टूल्स बताई हैं, एक इंस्टीट्यूट है टिटलियस परफॉर्मेंस इंस्टीट्यूट, इसके बारे में आपने सुना है? गोल्फर्स के लिए ये हेवन है। टाइगर वुड्स से लेके अगर मैं इंडिया की करंट गोल्फर्स की बात करूं तो अदिति अशोक, एवरीवन हैज बीन हियर। ये सारे टेस्ट फंक्शनल मूवमेंट स्क्रीनिंग का पार्ट है और दुनिया के बेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूट में यही मेजर यूज हो रहे हैं। ये कोई एक्सपेंस क्रिएट नहीं करता है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए, बहुत ही सस्ता और मतलब बहुत ही ड्यूरेबल से ज्यादा रिलायबल मेथड है जिसको आप इंजरी प्रिवेंशन के लिए यूज कर सकते हो। ठीक है, अब आप प्लीज खड़े हो जाओ। बहुत सारे एथलीट रोज स्ट्रेचिंग एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, उनमें से कुछ हाइपर मोबाइल भी होते हैं। असेसमेंट के बारे में आप लोगों ने सुना है? 5 चीजें होती हैं जो कि किसी भी पेशेंट को आप हाइपर मोबाइल करने के लिए बोल सकते हो। कैन यू मूव टू साइड? आप में से कितने लोग अपने एमसीपी जॉइंट को 90 डिग्री से ज्यादा एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं? नाइन्टी डिग्री से ज्यादा कितने लोग? हाथ खड़े करें अपने। ये एक क्राइटेरिया है। सेकेंड इज elbow extension more than 10 degrees, knee hyper extension more than 10 degrees, forward bending with palms touching the floor, and last is you are able to touch this thumb to your forearm. इन 5 में से अगर आपके 4 yes हैं तो that individual is considered as hypermobile. पूछ सकता है ना पेशेंट कि मुझे मैनुअल थेरेपी कराने की जरूरत है कि नहीं। हाइपर मोबाइल इंडिविजुअल में सब जगह मोबिलाइज नहीं करना, उनको स्टेबिलिटी एक्सरसाइज ज्यादा करानी है। एक एथलीट जो कि एक बॉलिंग स्पीड 150 की बॉल डाल रहा है, उसके लिए स्टेबिलिटी एक्सरसाइज बहुत कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है। हम ज्यादातर लोग फॉरेन रिसर्चेस के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में क्या हो रहा है, न्यूजीलैंड में क्या हो रहा है, उसको हम फॉलो करते हैं अपने स्पोर्ट्स साइंसेस में। 2023 में इंडिया में रिसर्च हुआ है, 3 कॉमन प्रेडिक्टर्स हैं जो कि इंडियन फर्स्ट क्लास बॉलर्स में देखे गए। ये सभी प्लेयर रणजी ट्रॉफी खेल चुके हैं। इंक्रीज्ड लेटरल फ्लेक्शन बहुत इजी है मेजर करना, सब लोग कर सकते हैं। ग्राउंड रिएक्शन फोर्स, फोर्स प्लेट चाहिए आपको, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए इसके लिए। और थर्ड इज रियर फुट नी एंगल वाइल बॉलिंग। ये 3 मेजर से, मतलब ये आप कोई भी आप खाली, आपको किसी सॉफ्टवेयर की जरूरत नहीं है इसके लिए। अगर आप बॉलिंग एक्शन किसी भी इंडिविजुअल का कैप्चर कर रहे हैं अपने फोन में, बस आप उसको स्टिल करके देख सकते हैं कि ये फ्लेक्शन एंगल कितना है। 40 से ज्यादा जिनका फ्लेक्शन एंगल है, दे आर मोर वल्नरेबल फॉर नी इंजरीज। So with this much, I'll finish my talk. If anybody has any question, I can answer. मैंने पावर पॉइंट ज्यादा इसलिए यूज नहीं किया, मुझे खुद बहुत बोरिंग लगता है, बस फॉर्मेलिटी का काम था, इसलिए मैंने पावर पॉइंट बना ली थी। मैंने क्लास में भी नहीं बनाई कभी ढंग से पावर पॉइंट। मेरी 2 फैकल्टीज यहाँ पर है, मेरे बॉस यहाँ पर है, मैंने कभी ऑफिस में पावर पॉइंट की प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं किया है, मैंने कॉलेज में भी ढंग से कभी पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं किया है। थैंक यू एवरीवन।
Thank you, sir, for such an in-depth knowledge on the topic and keeping us engaged throughout the session. Now, I would like to call Dr. Chanchal to kindly brief the summary of the session and extend our heartfelt gratitude to sir.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such insightful session. I would like to extend our heartful gratitude for your session on injury prevention and physical assessment. Now, I would like to call Director Sir for the felicitation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Moving forward, it is our distinct honor to introduce an esteemed academician, researcher, and leader in the field of physiotherapy, Professor Dr. Zubir Bakar.
Dr. Wakar is a professor at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, where she has been serving with a dedication for over 18 years. She currently holds the responsibility of academic in charge for undergraduate, postgraduate, and research programs in Department of Physiotherapy. Prior to her current role, she has held a key academic position.
So not needed. So thank you so much to the organizers for giving me an opportunity to come and speak here. I am used to speaking because I am a teacher. Okay, so if you look at it as compared to what we've been doing since morning, we are talking a lot about practical aspects. We've talked about quality, we've talked about orthopedic assessments, we've talked about basic assessments that you can be doing. And those, I think, are the requirements of the day, not because we are a budding profession, but because we are already an established profession. We should be knowing all this by now. That is what we are recognized with. As a physiotherapist, if you look around, if you're not even able to assess the hip mobility of your patient, we are in a sad situation then. Right? So as the profession goes, as things grow, we need to solidify our basics as well as venture into newer areas. You have to remember to balance both of them together. When we talk about balancing them together, it also means that we have to be looking at various kind of accreditations, as Dr. Ritesh was talking in the morning, to think about newer areas of research. You know, AI is the upcoming thing. Everybody is talking about AI. You're talking about ChatGPT. Everybody, as teachers, we are very concerned that most of your assignments, what you are submitting, are ChatGPT generated. Okay, so we need newer softwares to scan your articles or whatever you've submitted to us so that they are not generated from there. So, we have our own concerns. You have your own concerns. But again, going back to the same thing, we are talking about two things now. For the growth of a profession, you need its basics to be strong, and you need newer ideas to be pumped into it. And thirdly, it has to be in line with what is happening in the market. You cannot dissociate yourself. You cannot say that, okay, AI is only required in things where engineering is involved. We are dealing with human body, we do not need it. The hands of the physio are not going to be replaced. Right now we are saying that, but maybe after 20 years there's a robot who is available who can do the in-depth assessment much better, and which is already in line. If you were there in the last conference of IAP, you would know that they are already working in the areas where there is a robotic device available which can actually give a mobilization on the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 based on the assessment, as well as the mobilization can be given by that device. So you are going there. So if you have to be relevant, what are you things need to be added? And how is that going to happen is by newer researches which are going to take place. And
research does not happen alone. As physios, we have to understand this very well. Research does not happen alone. It is always a collaborative, interdisciplinary as well as intradisciplinary work which needs to be done. So, for example, you have studied electrotherapy. You have studied the basics of electrotherapy, where you would have studied about basic physics, what you studied in your class 11, 12. You revised what is resistance, what is friction, what is rolling friction. We did all that, right? So where did that come from? Did you have a physics teacher teaching you that, or your physiotherapy teacher taught you that? Most of the places, the physiotherapy teacher taught you that, right? And how were they able to teach you that? They studied themselves in their class 11th and 12th, because they also appeared for the sub-exams where it was needed. And secondly, they read it themselves to teach you. Because reading about it myself, for my knowledge, is something else as compared to teaching it to someone else. And how is that different? Is because when I'm teaching, I'm expecting questions. So whatever questions you are raising, I should also be able to answer those questions. So the amount of knowledge that I have should be much more. So as a physiotherapy professional, I would prefer a physics teacher to do that. They would be able to answer it much better, and even nicer would be a biomedical engineer to do that. Because they would be then able to give you examples to correlate it with your profession also. I might be able to teach you TENS very well, but if you tell me about teaching you the differences between alternate and direct current, my knowledge would be limited. It might be the same as you, rather lesser than you, because you studied your class 12 much earlier, much later as compared to me when I studied God knows how many years back. Right? So where I'm going with this is that interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary research is extremely important. We should not be scared of collaborations. Similarly, we should not be scared of referring the patients. This I tell in my first day of my PT ortho class to my BPT third year students, and I would like to repeat it once again. If you are confident on yourself, you will never be scared of referring your patient out if needed. No one is a master of all. No one can see everything themselves. It is not possible. It's humanly not possible. So there should not be a problem in referring the patient out to maybe some physiotherapist who's working better in that area, or maybe another professional. You take a call. Your call is to whom do you want to refer it to. That is also an extremely important decision to make. Whether to refer the patient to an orthopedic surgeon or to a neurologist or to a GP or to a rheumatologist. Who is telling you that? That is your basic knowledge which is telling you that. So it is not compromising anywhere. Okay. Now, we have talked about things about basics till now. Now let's think about something of the future, what is going to be there. A number of you might have heard about me or would have listened to my lectures before, and you know I work on sleep essentially. My core area of work is sleep, and I work only in that. I think after God knows how many years I would be talking about something else. God knows after how many years. So the entire purpose was that this is a new exciting thing which is happening in the market right now. All of you must have heard about Elon Musk. Familiar? What did he do recently? Other than fighting with Trump, anything else? You've heard about Neuralink? Right? Some vague idea? What is that all about? It's an open invasive procedure by which a brain chip, or rather a coin-shaped device, is placed in the brain area, and then movements are thought to be improved because of that. So, how do I do it? Can you give it to me? Okay. So there are what is that kind of a stimulation that you're looking at? That is a invasive brain stimulation. Similarly, there is non-invasive brain stimulations which are there. What do you mean by stimulation? What is stimulation? Excitation? Pulse? Excitation? That is your stimulation is all about. So stimulation is not necessarily in, how do I say, stimulation is not necessarily in a certain fixed fashion. For example, you're sitting in a theater, for example, and there's a Dolby Digital sound system which is there as compared to a traditional theater where you went to. The sound system stimulation is going to be different. Similarly, the brain is also going to perceive different stimulations in a different manner. How can I stimulate the brain? By waves. brain is one big physics box. It only understands impulses. It doesn't understand anything else. Nothing else. It only understands impulses. That means it basically needs a change in the polarity to happen. Be it a synapse, be it a neuron, whatever you talk about. You only need a change in the polarity to happen. So how would that change happen? How can that happen? I can create a sound, white noise. You all must be familiar with the white noise concept these days. Then what else can be there? Electrical stimulation can be used, or magnetic stimulation can be used. So those are the two classifications that you look at. So what is the brain non-invasive stimulation actually doing? It is talking about three activities basically. One, as I said, neural activation. Plasticity in the brain structure, ya pad chuke honge already. In your PT neuro, in your clinical neuro, you would have read about the concept of plasticity. The second concept here is cortical excitability. You need the motor cortex to be excitable to bring about a change, especially when you're talking about neurological patients. You're talking about things like stroke rehabilitation, you're talking about Parkinsonism, you're talking about the cerebral cortex activation that time. And the third is the core thing which as musculoskeletal physiotherapists we focus on a lot, which is your inhibition and facilitation. We talk about a lot about it, and these are the two mechanisms by which we are basically trying to manage chronic pains. That is, you're talking about excitability and you're talking about facilitation. So what do you want the body to react to pain? How do you want it to do? Either you want it to close the gate. How would you close the gate? By inhibiting it. Simple. Or what do you want? You want it to be excitable more. How are you going to do it? By facilitating. Those are the two ways by which it is going to work. So there are two basic kinds of non-invasive brain stimulation which are there. One is the magnetic stimulation, whereby the electromagnetic waves at a certain frequency are introduced into the brain. The device, I didn't get an image for that, but the device, if you all must have seen a microwave diathermy unit. It has big round circles. Imagine concise them to be very small circles and two circles joined together like that. That is how the TMS machine is going to look like. It is found to be very effective. A lot of studies are going on this, especially in AIMS. A lot of studies are going on there also. But the only problem is it's a bit on the higher end. It's more than 10 lakh machine. Okay. Then we come down to the second unit, which is your transcranial electrical stimulation unit. How would you bring about a change? How would you use electricity to bring about a change? First of all, for that, there are two kinds of electricity. Either it can be alternative or it can be direct. Everybody understands that, right? Alternative होगा तो वो आपका TACS हो गया. Transcranial, alternative current stimulation. Direct होगा तो transcranial direct current stimulation. Along with that, there is also TRNS. TRNS में क्या होता है? It is basically mimicking noise. You understand noise? Noise is a vibration which is also going to bring about a change. So that is a noise simulation. And the third one which you see is a CAS. CAS is you can say cranial electrical stimulation, which is using a pulsed form mode. Okay, so we have alternate current, we have direct current, you have your sound, and you have your pulsed. Those are the four ways in which it can be used. Out of these modalities, the first three, if you look at, they would be ranging in between, I would say, 3 to 10 lakhs. But the last one is pretty cheap. It's around 50,000 to 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. You can get a good, decent machine to work on that. Effectivity-wise, I cannot conclude right now because the studies are going on. But all of them have found to be similarly effective, with the transmagnetic one being the most effective out of all. When I say effective, most of the work that is being done on these areas are three basic areas. One is the neurological areas, then you have psychiatric conditions, and you have musculoskeletal conditions. I'll be talking about it briefly when we go. Now, as I said in the beginning, that we need newer things. We need to remember our basics, and you need newer things to be added on. Electrical stimulation to the brain is not new. It started way back in 17th, 18th century. It was used for epilepsy management. It was used for migraine management. The next one, please. And the basic breakthrough happened when the direct current was invented when the battery was made. So that was the first time when this uncle and nephew together, one made a battery and one used the battery to bring about a treatment where the epilepsy was basically studied. Okay? So that is briefly about history. When you talk about 18th to 19th century and before the 18th century, then came the 20th century. In the 20th century, what was remarkable was, if you look at it earlier, there was a DC simulation which was being used, and this is the time when the battery was utilized, basically, where you are using a device where you have a portable method of using electricity. So that means you can take it wherever you go. That was the biggest advantage of battery. Then it happened where you are talking about the understanding that cathode is going to give a different effect as compared to anode. The effects of both of them are not going to be the same. That is the difference which happened second. Third thing, there was a decline. Why was a decline there? Because if you look at it carefully, whatever examples I gave till now were all neurological and psychiatric examples. I said migraine, I said epilepsy, I said depression, I said lack of activity. During the late 70s, there was a bombardment of psychiatric drugs in the market. That was a time where you can say, why a burst took place. That was the time when psychiatric drugs took the market completely. So it was easier, pop in a pill and you are fine, right? Because the ill effects of these drugs came up in the early 20s, not till that time, okay? After 1998 was the first time when a direct current was actually used to bring about a change in the brain excitability. It was found to be easy to use, it was found to be reproducible, and it was easy to carry and affordable. Okay. Then, as a result of it, then slowly DDCS was started using in pain and musculoskeletal. I would like to say once again that pain and musculoskeletal pain was not the primary area of identification for transcranial direct stimulation. It was not the primary area. It is a tertiary area, absolutely third one. That is why a lot of conclusive studies are not available even now. If you look at this, was a good article which I found. As students, I know it is difficult for you to comprehend it, or it might not be of your interest, but just a brief slide to show you how has the cut trend changed. So if you look at it earlier, in between only 2 articles till 2002, and after that there's a drastic increase in the articles. And you see a dip there. That is only because the dip happened in when the article was published is only initial 6 months. That is why you're looking at a dip there. So you look at a steady increase, and so at some places you also see a very sharp incline which is happening. That is only telling you about the amount of interest in the articles which started publishing suddenly in this area. So if you, again, the same article in a more clearer version, if you look at it, there's an average annual growth of almost 31%. Okay. This growth of annual 31.6% is not, again, essentially only working on the musculoskeletal pain. It is about the application of TDCS in various modalities being used by various professionals. It is not a proprietary of a physiotherapist. It is being used by psychologists, it is used by psychiatrists, it is used by neurologists. Everybody is working on it and they have their own usages around it. The basic countries where the most of this work is being done is US, Brazil, Italy, China. This is the order in which it is there. Okay. Now, because US took the lead on it, there is only certain equipments which are FDA certified. You understand, you attended Dr. Nitesh's class in the morning, and I hope you all were awake at that time. You remember he talked about accreditations. Accreditations are especially important. FDA approval is extremely important, and all these modalities that I talked about, all of them are not FDA approved. Okay. Only the MRI one, the magnetic resonance imaging, the TMR is the one which is approved by the FDA. That is the only one which has established itself as an FDA approved one. Okay. So what is transcranial current stimulation now? It's basically, as I said, it's a non-invasive brain stimulation. Again, direct current which is being delivered at a low frequency, low intermittent frequencies, usually going up to 2 milliampere. But at the same time, when I talked about the CES, which is the cranial electrical stimulation, there the minimum ampere can go up to 16 milliampere. But usually we are working between 0.5 to 4 milliampere. That is the usual areas in which is being worked. And the flow of current happens in between. Okay. Now, there are various kind of electrodes. We'll talk about it later also, but just to give you a perspective here, when you are looking at images, you would find that there are different ways and different sizes and different types of electrode which are used in all different modalities. I explained you the magnetic modality just now. So if you look at the TDCS modality, there are usually 2 electrodes. One would be cathode, one would be anode. The application can be done in such a manner where one is a reference and one is an anode. One is a reference or one is a cathode, or a bihemispherical where both are working simultaneously. So the effects are going to be more balanced when both are working simultaneously. But again, it depends upon why do you want to use it. Okay. Then this is the image when you look at. So you have an anode and you have a cathode which is there, which is being connected to a device. This is how it would look like. The size of the electrodes we'll talk about later. So mechanisms, there are three things which I spoke to you earlier. One is you're talking about the changes in the synaptic mechanisms. One is you're talking about synaptic plasticity by ATP and your serotonin activation, GABA activation, all that happens. Opioids are secreted more. There are certain plastic changes which are going to happen. But basically you're talking about facilitation in certain areas and you're talking about excitation in certain areas. So you are looking at a modular cortical excitability, you are looking at neural oscillation scales which are different, and about the resting state connectivity. Why is it important to alter the resting state? Why do you want to alter the resting state? When you are giving the patient IFT, what are you basically trying to do when you're giving an IFT? You are reversing the polarity. Remember, very, very common word in electrotherapy that you would be listening again and again. That is, you're talking about a reversal of polarity. So when you're talking about reversal of polarity, you're basically talking about allowing the impulse to come in or to go out. It can work either ways. So it can either be excitatory or it can be inhibitory. It can be hyperpolarization or it can be a depolarization. It can be either of the terms. How do you use it? The first important thing is the electrodes here. Okay, as I said, you can be using 2 electrodes. I can use one as cathode, one as anode, and place it bihemispherically. Usually 10-20 system of EEG. Are you familiar with 20-20, 10-20 systems? No. Okay. So this is an ASIUM, this is axis. This is imagine one line coming here and imagine one line going from here. These are the way the system is divided. I can further divide into 2, I can further divide it into 2. This becomes 20-20, which is usually used in EEG. For this we use 10-20, that is 2 division here and 2 division here. I can use this, I can use this, or I can use this. Okay, mota mota. Uske alawa, what else can I do? I can use one transcephalically and one cephalically. That means ek maine arm pe lagaya, ek maine brain mein lagaya, depending on what I want again. Okay, that is again, it's a difficult thing to understand as a concept, but if you read about it, you'll be able to understand better. And the idea of this presentation is just to make you aware about there is something like this available. Okay, then we talk about the sizes that we were talking about. So that was, as I said, electrodes ye ho gaye. Uske baad mein, when you're using the electrodes, there can be various sizes. The smaller it is, what will happen if an electrode is small as compared to when an electrode is large? क्या आप बताएंगे? मैंने अब तक कोई भी सवाल नहीं पूछा है. बहुत गुड गर्ल की तरह बिहेव किया मैंने. कुछ भी नहीं पूछा है मैंने. चलो अब ये आप बताओ, छोटा इलेक्ट्रोड बड़ा इलेक्ट्रोड क्या डिफरेंस होगा? कोई डिफरेंस होगा? होगा भी नहीं होगा? Small electrode, big electrode, size. Does it make a difference? It doesn't make a difference in electrotherapy direct application. Yes, right? And why will it make a difference? Is because the surface area is going to be different. आप जो करंट एप्लीकेशन कर रहे हैं, मैंने बोला 3 मिली एम्पियर का करंट लगाना है, वो 3 मिली एम्पियर का करंट 35 सेंटीमीटर स्क्वायर के एरिया में है या 100 सेंटीमीटर स्क्वायर के एरिया में, वो डिफरेंट इफेक्टिविटी देगा. लेजर में भी आप ऐसे ही करते हैं ना, नंबर ऑफ पॉइंट्स को आप डिवाइड कर देते हैं, आपको कैसे करना है. तो सेम थिंग इज ट्रू हियर आल्सो. तो द साइजेस आर गोइंग टू बी वेरिएबल. So you're looking at a smaller size or a larger size. The larger it is, the more chances is कि वो reference electrode होगा. अगर आपको एक reference और एक cathode anode में से choose करना है, okay? And if you want to use both simultaneously, they would be of a smaller size. Why smaller size? Because you want more accuracy when you are applying it. Okay? Location, as I said, 10-20 system is usually used, or based on how do you want it. For example, transcranial जो last वाला हमने करा था CTS, CS के अंदर you can use the earlobes. So either these 2 earlobes, it can be intra-ear, it can be over the earlobes, or it can be on the mastoid, because they work on the mechanism where it is like a hairband. The current is going to flow from one electrode to the another electrode. Whereas in the transcranial direct stimulation, it is going to go through the electrodes. So if one electrode is here, one is here, you are expecting it to go through the electrodes. That is the basic difference in the electrode placing that you're talking about. Then material, we are very familiar with it. Whenever you're giving an ultrasound, you need a medium for the current to flow in the middle. You're giving an interferential therapy, you put a sponge. You are using the rubber electrodes, you put gel over it. So similarly, you need a conducive material here for the current to be able to pass through properly. What can be this conducive material? EG gel can be used, or saline can be used. The problem with saline is it will drip. Gel would be easier to apply. So once it becomes easier to apply, what you also need to remember is you are not telling the patient to shave the hair. The hair is still there. If I am using the TDCS, I need to apply on the scalp. So then I should be able to part the hair very well, so that the impedance is lesser. Because if the impedance is more, what will happen? Impedance high होगा तो क्या होगा? डिस्कम्फर्ट होगा, आपको इंटेंसिटी बढ़ानी पड़ेगी फॉर द पेशेंट टू बी एबल टू फील सर्टेन चेंजेस. The impedance is high, you don't want a higher impedance, and for something to be effective you want it to go more deeper. Already superficial है तो डेप्थ कम होगी, राइट? ये सुपरफिशियल करंट है ना, आपने ट्रांसडर्मली अप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो द डेप्थ इज गोइंग टू बी लेसर. Then you talk about online and offline. As I said, the usage of TDCS started from neurological and psychiatric conditions. So a lot of work is being done on things like cognition, where it is already established. Cognition made is showing effects. Then you talk about things like motor relearning theories. Then you talk about motor relearning and all those areas. So इसमें क्या होता है कि there are two ways. Another thing is TDCS is not used as a treatment in itself. It's always an adjunct. You cannot say patient आया मैंने ये prescribe कर दिया alone. It would always be used in coupled with something else. For example, if I pick up a patient with fibromyalgia, which is the most commonly studied condition in musculoskeletal condition for TDCS. So what is given is you can do it either online or offline. The meaning of the word online offline is that I have applied the current and I tell the patient to do a task along with it. Okay, and the patient is doing it. Suppose I want to reteach the patient exercises and I want the patient to do lumbar extension exercises along with the placement. This is an online method. Offline is I gave the exercises, I gave the patient transcranial current after that, and then I repeated the exercises once again. The other two methods in which you can apply online or offline methods. Third one is duration. Usually it ranges from 10 minutes to 30 minutes based on the effects that you have, based on the condition that you are dealing with. Then we have strength, as I said, 0.5 to up to 4 milliamperes can be TDCS, and cranial electrical stimulation can go anything below 16 milliamperes is okay. The studies have been conducted usually in that area. Okay, another thing is sham. Sham is very important in TDCS because if you read the articles, you will also find a lot of people have compared it to sham treatment. So what happens in sham? One single spike and no current after that. So the patient is not able to perceive whether the current is there, not because there was an initial spike. So sham TDCS is also very commonly used, usually when you're trying to compare it with other things. Anodal, cathodal, the effectivity is going to be different. Anode, simple way to remember it would be positive. Positive होगा तो क्या होगा? Excitatory होगा. Excitatory होगा तो इसका मतलब क्या होगा? Depolarized होगा. Cathode negative है. Negative है तो क्या करेगा? Inhibit करेगा. Inhibit करेगा तो hyperpolarized होगा. ठीक है? Depends on this, what do you want? The purpose for using the current, you can choose whichever the way you want to use your electrode. These are a set of contraindications which are there, which are usually used when you're talking about transcranial diaphragm. You would see a history of migraine there. But I also said that migraine is one condition where a lot of TDCS is being used. So what we're talking about here is when the patient is having a history of migraine and you are treating the patient for something else, then it might be a problem. But if you're treating the patient for migraine with TDCS, then of course you can go ahead with it. Just have a look at it. These are the normal things that you look at. What is more important to look at here is the scalp and skin conditions. There should not be any abrasions in the skin. The patient should not have any open wounds in the scalp because you're going to be applying something which is not very comfortable on the scalp. Indications, I said, basically started from neurological, stroke, Parkinson's, cognitive impairments, autism patients. You have psychiatric conditions where you're talking about depression and anxiety, most commonly studied, schizophrenia, most commonly studied. Musculoskeletal, there are three areas in which most of the studies have been done. The first thing is fibromyalgia. Most of the studies done in a musculoskeletal condition is in fibromyalgia. Second set is knee osteoarthritis, and the third set is low back pain. These are the three primary areas where work has been done. What it also shows is that where do you want to examine the effect. So if you look at low back pain, I'm stimulating the brain and I'm expecting a change peripherally. So you look at a central change or you're looking at a peripheral change. It depends upon the choice that you make. This is a good scale which we use in our clinic, in our research lab. This is what we are using. So before starting the treatment, until and unless the patient is being treated for the same thing, if the score is more than 5, we'll prefer that the patient stops the treatment today and comes some another day. Or if it reached 5, after the treatment, you tell the patient to settle down for some time and then leave your lab. Out of them, what is more commonly seen is migraine and nausea, most commonly seen things along with some amount of irritation. But no study has shown any adverse effect of a transcranial direct stimulation. no adverse effects at all. These are minor sensory effects which are usually there, and most commonly seen are the headache, as I said, and they settle down within half an hour of giving the treatment. Then briefly about chronic pain conditions. In chronic pain conditions, there is an important, most of you are BPT students. How many BPT? BPT. Okay. So there is a concept. 5 minutes. So we are talking about there's something called central sensitization. अगर आपको आज पेन हुआ, आज हाथ कट गया, आपने बैंडेड लगा ली, कल तो वो नहीं दुखेगा. बट अगर लो बैक पेन मुझे आज हुआ तो मुझे कल भी है, परसों भी है, और 6 महीने के बाद भी रहेगा और साल भर के बाद भी रहेगा. वो इसलिए है क्योंकि वो ब्रेन के अंदर कुछ प्लास्टिक चेंजेस हैपन एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट, व्हिच इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर chronic pain conditions. Okay, so this is trying to work there. There are a lot of other conditions of things also. For example, we have pain neuroscience education, which is an upcoming thing. We have biopsychosocial model of understanding pain, which is also being used to understand pain and address chronic pain conditions. So that is the basic mechanism for which it is being used in the chronic pain conditions. This is a practical tip where it can be used. How it can be used, this is the absolutely basic thing. This has been done by the study. If you see on the left side corner, left side corner, you can see that there's a list of articles mentioned there कि वहाँ पे कौन सा current कहाँ इस्तेमाल किया गया. Usually, as I said, between around 10 to 20 minutes से लेके 30 minutes तक copper है. Lowest current stimulation given till now is 1 milliampere. It can go up to, as I said, 2 milliampere. 2 milliampere most commonly used है. Again, ये direct current की बात कर रहे हैं. हम TCS की बात नहीं कर रहे और हम ऑल्टरनेटिव वाले की बात भी नहीं कर रहे. उसके अंदर इंटेंसिटीज जो है वो अलग हो जाएगी. This I explained already. Key takeaways. First of all, it's a safe and well tolerated modality. FDA approved नहीं है, so one has to be careful when you're using it. It can be used in clinical conditions now. We've already reached to a point where it can be used in the clinical conditions and in the clinical and the daily practices, because the smallest one that I told you is only 50,000-60,000 rupees. So it can be safely used in the clinics. It can be used as a research modality also for a number of conditions, especially where you're looking at central sensitization phenomena, where you're looking at a plastic change in the brain which you want to bring about. So there it is going to be very effective. And again, one of the most fastest growing non-invasive brain stimulation would be your talent brain. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm available. Questions? या तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, सब ऊपर से चला गया, या सब समझ में आ गया, कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. समझ में आया कि नहीं आया? आया?
Thank you, ma'am, for bringing a fresh and evidence-based perspective to the subject. That was a truly powerful lineup from clinical insight on spine assessment and injury prevention to a reimagined approach to pain management by Zubia Vakar.
I would like to call Dr. Himani to summarize this session and extend our gratitude to Dr. Zubia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Zubia Vakar for her insightful session on the role of TDCS in musculoskeletal pain management. Her presentation beautifully connected advanced research with clinical application, encouraging us all to look towards innovation in physiotherapy practice. Thank you, ma'am, for your invaluable contribution to BCIP CON 2025. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. C.S. Ram sir for felicitation of Dr. Vakar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite our next anchor, Japanjot and Ikshika, to take over and carry the momentum forward.
As we are moving forward in the program, we have Dr. Samantha Ghosh with us for this upcoming session. Dr. Ghosh, the co-founder of Health Specifics, which encompasses a rapidly growing network of wellness clinics, an academy for healthcare professionals, and a medical tech arm offering innovative solutions. His work spans across Delhi NCR and Assam, positively impacting countless lives.
Sir is highly accomplished cardiorespiratory physiotherapist, visionary entrepreneur, educator and corporate healthcare, consultant with over 15 years of experience in transforming healthcare delivery and education. Dr. Ghosh has held key positions at reputed healthcare giants like Philips Healthcare, Zimmer Biomet, Max Healthcare, where he led groundbreaking initiative in pulmonary rehabilitation, non-invasive ventilation and healthcare product development.
As an academician, he has served as an associate professor at ITS, the education group. He is also a published author, award-winning entrepreneur, and a recipient of prestigious honors such as Physio Entrepreneur Award, Young Achiever Award, and the Significant Contribution Award in Physiotherapy.
Sir is here with us to share his knowledge on super specialization after physiotherapy. Masters, the way ahead. Let us all welcome Dr. Ghosh to this stage with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Audible? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Sumanta Ghosh. I am a respiratory physiotherapist by profession, and I thank my teacher for inviting me to BCPICon. And I think I've been fortunate to be a part of BCPICon for the second time, and it is a great honor to be amongst many of the legendary physiotherapists here. Today topic it's slightly non-clinical, so I think pre-lunch and it will be a very very brief topic. So if you have a pointer. It will be a very very brief topic about specialization in physiotherapy, or basically what do you do after specialization, because specialization MPT has become and what you do after most of us what we do is basically with the new generation as Gen Z, Gen Z, whatever you call yourself. So what you do the planning much ahead, and it is not going with the flow that we used to do at our times, right? So basically, it is planning ahead, and it is a good thing to do planning ahead. So if you're thinking of doing a master's, maybe why not to think what to do after the master's? Audible? Backside. Backside. If you're free from the mobile, if I'm audible. Just take it. So hopefully I'm audible. So basically the super specialization. Two slides back. Right, and if you click on this. Sound is sick. The video I'll try to show you the video. It was me not speaking, it was the AI actually, the Google AI speaking that I am a respiratory physiotherapist. I help people in breathing. So it was not speaking as AI taking over basically everything. And I think AI will be a major part of everything that you do in the next 5 years, and better to be a part of it than leaving it aside, because every time you will be dealing with AI in every prospects of it, be it physiotherapy, rehabilitation, and it's very, very important to be a part of that generation or that technology that is coming up. Next slide. So now, basically, why go for a super specialization? Because there is an evolving, basically, sense of what is happening in healthcare. So what is happening is basically we are moving from a generalist to a specialist kind of model. So before, I think, if you see 20 years back, therapy clinics, everyone used to see everything. We both cerebral palsy to musculoskeletal. Audible now? Sorry for the difficulty. So now we are moving from a generalist role to a more specialized role. Now I think with our inboards from cerebral palsy to musculoskeletal to sports, सब कुछ लिखने से अच्छा अब we are going to something like specialization. Like in our clinics, if you will see a pulmonary rehabilitation, bada sleep, bada, then you will see a woman's health on a big thing. And yes, we do see the generalist also, but yes, basically we have moved to specialization. Why so specialization? Because basically there is increasing complexity of the diseases that is coming. What is happening in the diseases is basically you see involvement of multi-organs or basically disciplinary approaches. So a rheumatoid patient may be requiring a physiotherapy help or orthopedic help along with basically neurologist or psychologist involved in role. So things are getting complex, and for the complex roles you need specialists who are dealing with the situation. Then also the public awareness is increasing. Everyone knows that patient coming to you, अब से पहले Google use करके आते थे, now they are using an AI and they know everything about what they are facing and what are the probable outcomes they are going to have and what are the treatments options available to them. So yes, it is the growing need. So you need a deeper knowledge of basically what is happening and the treatment strategies that you are required. And then also there is requirement of optimal patient outcomes. Like in the US, the insurance companies are paying only to physiotherapists who are giving an outcome. And this outcome based basically treatment payment systems will come to India also very soon. So because someone rightly said, basically today what is ethics will be rules by tomorrow. So yes, you'll definitely see basically this also coming, that if you don't bring a positive change to patient outcome, you may not get paid by the insurance companies, and insurance coming in physiotherapy is moving ahead. So evolution of physiotherapy, all of you know, started 1920s, post-polio pandemic. It was basically the musculoskeletal part, then it involved, right? In India also we started having specialization. I think, if I'm not wrong, Jubia ma'am will correct me, 1994, Jamia Hamdard started the first batch of masters in physiotherapy. And I think specialization started in cardio, neuro, ortho, sports, right? And then slowly we started to move ahead. And with emerging 21st century, what is happening is basically we are moving to a more specialized role. So next slide, please. So why specialized? Because you need basically expert clinical expertise. You need to contribute to the research, and if you're expert in that field, so you will basically add to the research and evidence. So like Nitesh was speaking in the morning, maybe today you are dissipating knowledge and you will start creating knowledge. When you do research, you do a publication, you establish things, so you are creating knowledge and you'll contribute to that. And then also improve patient outcomes that I already spoke about. And then also for your personal things, if you get specialized in SIM, there are chances of you getting recognized in a better way, right? Next slide, please. Yeah, so is super specialization the trend? So yes, super specialization has been there. If you look into the US space, there are boards basically specialization certification exams that APTA conducts. There are 10 specializations, briefly basically cardiovascular, electrophysiology, neurology, oncology, pediatric, women health, wound healing. So there are 10 of them that you can specialize in the US. In India, what is happening is, next slide please. So India, this is basically from 2018, I think, and the new curriculum also. This is basically, if you're a clinical physiotherapist, this is your career progression that has been outlined in a government setup, also in a private setup that can be followed because the government has given say. And if you see here, to become a superintendent physiotherapist, by basically when you have around roughly 8 to 10 years of experience or 12 years of experience, you need an MPT, which is a specialization, which is mandatory, right? And then also you need further super specialization. So if I can tell you, the government of India is already working on this. So if you look into the clinical establishment and if you look the basically standards of care, so if you look into just my domain, basically respiratory medicine. So if you look into the respiratory medicine and if you zoom in, so you will find the human resources that are required to run a respiratory department is basically one of the key things will be a respiratory physiotherapist. So without a respiratory physiotherapist, if you're running the department, then you are basically going against the norms of the clinical establishment. So this has become the basic requirement, and from cardiorespiratory only to respiratory. So you call it a subspecialization or a super specialization, right? So next slide. So, if you speak about my specialty, cardiorespiratory, what are the avenues of specializations, super specialization? You can specialize in pulmonary or the respiratory physiotherapy, where you expertise in sleep, pulmonary rehabilitation, etc. Then you move ahead, if you look into another space, there is a whole lot of cardiac rehabilitation and cardiac care that is there. Then also there is oncophysiotherapy, which is an interdisciplinary thing. But yes, you can definitely take up oncophysiotherapy. Huge lot of onco diseases in India, and definitely I think if you take up that, and you will be basically working with a lot of patients. And then also you have the metabolic. India is a diabetic capital, and also you know that if you work with the metabolic conditions, so you are doing this. And then also exercise physiology can also come in. Next slide, please. So this is brief journey of mine. So I came from Assam in the early 2000s, got admitted to a college in ITS, College of Physiotherapy, Muradnagar, wherein basically we had our first physiotherapy faculty. Our director was Ram sir, and I started my journey from there. And after doing my bachelor's there, I came on for internship, did a 6 months internship in a very corporate hospital, South Delhi corporate hospital, and I was very happy with this, but I wanted to do more, and I think now it is 1 year, but I chose voluntary to do more 6 months of internship. I went to army internship. So army teaches you a lot of things. So I think I was fortunate to do an internship in the Indian Army, and then took up cardiorespiratory physiotherapy at Jamia Hamdard. And I think at that time there were only 2 colleges in Delhi which were offering the MPT cardio. Jamia Millia was just opening, I just shifted to Millia at that time. I think BCPI, I think Banarsidas was one institute, and Jamia Hamdard was the other institute. ISIC had not started cardiorespiratory at that time. So at that time we started MPT cardiorespiratory, and fortunate enough I got trained in also Lalam disease. So also Web Sorab sir, who have been our teacher in Jamia Hamdard. So also studying in Jamia Hamdard, also did my thesis work in the National Institute of TB and Respiratory Diseases, where my interest for respiratory conditions improved. And I think there I started basically training more on the respiratory side rather than the cardiac side. And I think then I got an opportunity to work in Max Hospital, Saket, as in charge of respiratory physiotherapy in the Department of Respiratory Medicine, and not in the Department of Physiotherapy, but Department of Respiratory Medicine is in charge for pulmonary rehabilitation. Yet then also did some specialized courses like the European Respiratory Society course on pulmonary rehabilitation in Netherlands. Then also you can see there, so 2000, this is Max Department of Respiratory Medicine, which involved the respiratory physicians, the respiratory therapists. We had one respiratory therapist, physiotherapist. I was in charge for the respiratory therapy then. 2012, I did my national sleep course in NIMHANS, Bangalore. So that was my start of journey in the sleep medicine. So also did some other sleep courses, nasal sleep disorders course, etc. Also moved to US, Orlando to do a sleep course there. So you can see, I think, yeah, you can see here we have times of Facebook. Then Ram sir asking, what is this? Why are you attending a sleep course? And I think I should call back Ram sir and told going to have interest in sleep and doing courses in sleep. So did some also courses in pulmonary rehabilitation from AARC. Next slide, please. Next slide. Then I moved out of the hospital space, joined Philips, the bulb company, all of you know, the company which used to produce the radios, bulbs. There I started a respiratory home care services division, wherein we treated around 5,000 patients with 52 physiotherapists in our 8 cities, and it was till I think 2018 that I was there, and I think it was a good journey then. So this is our team, physiotherapists who won basically many global awards along with India awards. So then pandemic happened, we started our own thing that is called health specifics, where we have a group of clinics in our home state of Assam as well as in Delhi NCR in Noida. So you can visit one of our clinics, 132 Noida Expressway or Sector 4 Greater Noida anytime. We specialize in pulmonary rehabilitation, women's health, sleep, etc. So then we also started a academy for training the basically healthcare professionals, wherein we do a lot of training for the healthcare professionals, like workshops, CMEs, etc. You can be a part of our academy. So next. So basically, if you speak of sports now, sports also, there are ample avenues coming up. So you can see basically Sports Authority of India bringing up many jobs along with basically basic sports physiotherapists. You can also go into exercise physiology. You can move as a high performance analyst, high performance managers in cases, and then also biomechanists, exercise physiologists, etc. by doing additional specialization. Neuro and ortho remains the same. Neuro also, you can specialize in disease specific things. You can go into Parkinsonism, spinal cord injury. There are a lot of avenues, and people come to specialized spaces. So if you a spinal cord injury comes to a spinal cord injury center or a specific spinal surgeon. Why? Because the center specializes in that. If you do specialize in something, people will come to you, right? If you a neuro rehab, basically inpatient neuro rehab coming up in a bigger way in major Indian cities. So I think neuro rehab, you can specialize in something and then move out of the leagues. And same for the orthopedic. I think Dr. Muller and Dr. Chahar already speaking something about the orthopedic part. Next. So why basically, why do the specialization? You become a specialist clinician, you can become a consultant to many of the healthcare facilities, etc. because you specialize in that field and you will be called for that. Yes, you become, if you are interested in the academics part, you can go into the academics and the research part of it. Then entrepreneurship remains basically one of the key areas that you can definitely dive into. And then also looking into, you can also go in as a clinical educator. So next. So you have to choose your path, what you want to do. So how do you do the super specialization? What are the avenues in India? How can you look in forward to it? So one is basically going for a PhD. So all of you are bachelor's, right? So all of you must be knowing that you can go directly for a PhD from the bachelor's itself now. So UGC had made, I think, Ma'am will correct me. So I think UGC has made that if you have certain percentage, I think 75 and above, you are eligible to sit for the PhD entrance examination. And if your core goal is to, so if your core goal is to go for academia, PhD remains an option. Then also continuing professional development courses remains basically one of the areas. So you can do specialized courses, specialized certifications, etc. So, but yes, one thing that I want to just bring up, that the students run after CPD points. The CPD points of given by any company doesn't mean anything. Please do bear in mind that CPD points doesn't materialize into anything, because basically the government has brought a national level CPD point system, wherein basically your 16 hours of of your theoretical this thing becomes only 0.5 CPD points, right? So if you're doing a master's, you get maybe around 64 to 80 CPD points depending on your this thing, and this will be all basically uploaded to your ID. Like this, basically school students now have a APAR ID. Every year they pass out, so that will be added to their credit bank. So the credit in India that will apply and will be only the points that are given by the government and the universities and nothing else, right? And then clinical residencies remain apart. So you can go for clinical residencies in India, abroad, wherever you have an opportunity to super specialize in that field, and then you can go for the mentorship. So I think for the fellowship, I was going to speak that fellowships have been there in India for some time, but I think with the new curriculum, I think which Jaswanta sir, VP Gupta sir, I think ma'am will be speaking about next in post-lunch. So fellowship, there is a regulation for fellowship also coming in. So it has to be minimum 1 year of fellowship. It has to be paid. That means the people who are doing the course has to be paid by the organization for doing that fellowship. And I think with the rules coming in, the fellowships will become basically better in the coming times, and there will be a good avenue for super specialization. Next slide, please. Right. So now, currently, what remains is basically the structure of the super specialization remains a challenge. So after masters, how do you super specialize is basically not fully regulated. I think the regulation will come in. It needs a financial and basically time dedication from your part who want to super specialize in something for that. And then there is basically you have to also look into the opportunities remains that they, if you super specialize, then obviously name, fame, and basically your professional growth comes in very easily. And then there is a lot of scope. I think ma'am has also spoken now that for the interdisciplinary collaboration. So there are a lot of scope for doing interdisciplinary collaboration, biomedics, engineers, with basically AI coming in. There are a lot of scope. So Google has brought an AI which in where you can just cough, and basically that your that cough acoustic analysis can give what is the stage of COPD. So it is growing very fast, and we have to adapt to this growing fast environment so that we move in. And there's if you do specialize, there are opportunities of leadership in that area. So next slide, please. So we have to embrace the future, so we have to look into evidence-based practice. We have to look into basically what are the next move that you can take in. Next slide. So I think I'd like to thank Ram sir once again for inviting me and making me a part of BACP Icon for everyone. So thank you for listening to me. And this is, I just started Instagram late in my 40s, so do support me, follow me, right? Because nothing is too late, right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insight and sharing such an in-depth experience with us. And now, I will request Dr. Ghazala to come on the stage and summarize this insightful session.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sumanta Ghosh. Your valuable perspectives and depth of knowledge truly enriched the conference and inspired the participants to explore an advanced pathway in the physiotherapy profession. Thank you, sir, for being here. I would like to call Director, sir, to facilitate this, sir. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Indu Kashyap, a senior physiotherapist, a corporate wellness trainer, and the co-founder of Health Specifics, an organization that runs clinics, training academics, and a medtech services dedicated to holistic rehabilitation. Based in Delhi NCR, she is passionately committed to public health through her expertise in ergonomics, pelvic health, and lifestyle disorders.
Her work especially focuses on menstrual and sexual health, and she's been a consistent voice for prevention, awareness, and accessible healthcare education. She's a certified fitness trainer and a clinical instructor.
With over 10 years of experience, Dr. Indu has worked in reputed institutes like Max Super Specialty Hospital, Saket, multiple clinics across South and West Delhi. She has conducted hands-on training workshop at STEM platforms including AIMS Delhi, and also serve as the chief clinical instructor at her own academy, Health Specific Academy.
Dr. Indu's efforts have been recognized by the physiotherapy fraternity, and she has received rewards such as Significant Contribution Award, Certificate of Excellence by Physical Education Foundation of India, and various more. She is a regular speaker at national and international summits, inspiring professionals and the public alike.
Ma'am will be sharing with us information and techniques of pelvic floor physiotherapy for a diverse population. Give her a warm welcome.
So it is good afternoon everyone, and this is the last session before the lunch, and I just hope that you will not leave and I will try to take as less as possible the time of yours. Okay, so my topic is diverse population. I know that by this time so many of you know about what is pelvic floor physiotherapy. At least you have read it somewhere or heard it somewhere at least once. Who all know? Only one person? Two? Nobody knows about pelvic floor physiotherapy? Okay, so this is the part of musculoskeletal physiotherapy basically, because pelvic floor muscles are also the skeletal muscles. Okay, so whatever the principles we are using in rehabilitating any other muscles like your biceps, the same principles will be there. The only difference is there that these muscles are, do you know where these muscles are present? In your trunk or the peripheral area? In the trunk? So it is present in the pelvic cavity. So this is the pelvic cavity, right? And these muscles are situated like this as floor. Okay, that is why the name is pelvic floor muscles. And it is not one muscle. This is a group of around 12 muscles. It is categorized into 3 layers: superficial, middle, and then the deep one. All layers, they work together, but they have their own functions also. So for example, the outermost layer is responsible for the sexual activities. Okay, and also the incontinence, or to maintain the continence. What is continence? Voluntary movement of bowel, your urine or stool. We all can control urine, stool, fart, you can control, and you can release when you want. So maybe I will be using few terms which may be that new for you, and I am habitual, and I want you all to be sensitized with those words, at least in today's session. Okay. So pelvic floor dysfunctions are very common. Okay, so depending on the different epidemiology, at least one person in 3 to 4, female or male, is affected. Whenever we talk about the pelvic floor physiotherapy, under what thing it comes? Amputee obs gynae. Are you aware of this? Amputee obs gynae, right? But if this is skeletal muscle, it is a part of your kinetic chain. They are the same fascias which are passing through this. How can you not take care of this while you are assessing your other patients, ortho patients? Okay, so I will try to give you little bit idea of that, why we should not ignore it. I have prepared little more extensive slides, but I will try to take the important points. The problem with pelvic floor dysfunction is that if we have knee OA, frozen shoulder, क्या पेशेंट को शर्म आती है बोलने में? लेकिन very rarely you will see people will be talking about pelvic floor dysfunctions, and because of which we think it is not prevalent condition. Okay, जब मैंने स्टार्टिंग में पढ़ना शुरू किया था about pelvic floor dysfunctions, then I started talking about this in my vicinity, and I was shocked that half of my female relatives, especially because at that time I was I never discussed this about this to the male, but now after around 8 years of practicing purely pelvic floor physiotherapy, now I can talk about this to anyone. Okay, so one kind of pelvic floor dysfunction, but the problem is that we don't know whether this is a problem. In fact, why? In some cases, we think that it is normal with aging. They are misconception. We think that it is normal